All right, and we are live. So we're here we should have the post details in there, but we're here for our April Tuesday teaching, everybody. We will give y'all a couple minutes to get in with us and join our live, and then we will get started. And for anybody that is joining, go ahead and say hi in the comments, tell us your shop name and where you're from. And no, today we're talking about all about shop photography. So what photos to take in your shop, how best to take them, and why it makes a difference in your marketing. If y'all see me keep looking this way, it's because I have two screens and Facebook to monitor the comments from anybody asking questions or saying hello to us is going to be on this side. So that's why, but I do see a couple people joining. So welcome. Thank you guys for being here today. I'm Caroline. I'm the Chief Marketing Officer here at Shop Marketing Pros. I'm usually one of the people in one of these Tuesday teachings, so y'all may recognize me. Today with me, I have Loretta and Wendy, who have both done Tuesday teachings before, but it's been a little bit. So y'all go ahead, I guess, introduce yourself. Y'all have title names right here, but.
Sure. Go ahead, Wendy.
Hey, everybody. I am Wendy. I'm the senior messaging strategist. So I am in charge of social media marketing and management for all of our clients and for Shop Marketing Pros.
And hi, everyone. I'm Loretta. I'm the creative director, and I work with our website team leading the design part on their end. So we work a lot with photography and we talk a lot about photography. And I also help out on the SMP end when it comes to our own marketing and our own photography.
Yes. So if y'all have any questions as we go through about shop photography, please make sure to leave them in the comments so that we can get them answered. Before we get off today or right once we finish, I do have a photo wish list that I'll be dropping in the comments, a PDF that gives you examples of photos and also what they might look like in your marketing when you're using those. But we'll go ahead and get started. We've got one person said hey, Chris Enright said hey from middle of nowhere, Ohio. But Loretta, Wendy, tell us a little bit about like why photography matters, especially over stock photography when it comes to, we'll go two separate ways first, and I can kind of speak to the ads portion. But mainly when we're talking about having great photos, it's because they do better on your website, they do better on your social media, and ads are one of the areas where stock photos can, I feel like, be used a bit more easily. Same thing with maybe SEO, but we'll talk about how they can impact your ads too. So we'll start with social media, Wendy, if you want to take us in.
Yes. So definitely the goal of social media is to know, like, and trust you. Your followers want to see you. They want to see your team. They want to see the things that y'all are doing together, your top shop culture, and community events. So you can't get that in stock photography. That's where real time photos from you and your team come in. It is definitely impactful. We see major engagement whenever we tell someone happy birthday or wish them a work anniversary, or seeing the team out for their company lunches or company retreats. Those definitely get the best engagement on social media. Definitely over stock photography. You can't compare.
Yeah, and website too, when we talk about photography, it is one of our first questions we even ask you when it comes to designing your site. So, your brand comes first, your logo, your colors, but ultimately after that, the next thing we're going to design your website with is going to be that custom imagery. When we talk about really good and clean website design, a lot of the time that clean design looks so good and branded well because the imagery is clean, it's unique, it's your custom imagery. I think a lot of the times, we're used to seeing stock photography, and even if we're not knowingly saying, oh, that's a stock image, as a consumer, your brain automatically associates it as something not as authentic or not as real when it comes to marketing. So, as Wendy mentioned, they don't compare. The two definitely don't compare. There are uses, I think, when it comes to stock imagery, when you need some assistive imagery that is a little hard to get, yourself. There are some instances there, but it really is so great to have that custom imagery, show your face, show your shop, your storefront, and what your customers are going to be seeing when they walk through the doors.
Definitely. I feel like the same kind of applies for ads with Google and search ads. You can have a display aspect to them, but it doesn't always have to be like a smiling headshot of somebody in the shop, but maybe just a picture of the shop or what's happening in there. But having that visual aspect lets people know what to expect when they come into your shop. Chris commented, "You mean the atypical coveralls guy with a wrench in his hand isn't good?" He's great if it's your technician, but if it's the guy and especially if you don't wear the big coveralls and that guy doesn't work in your shop, probably not the best choice. I think something we joke about a lot is, it's a joke, but it's not a joke, but like, don't catfish people, especially when you're looking at something like social media or what is posted about your business publicly. If you're posting things that very clearly are not your business, you're setting people up for failure and the wrong expectations of what they're experiencing when they do come into the shop. A little, as we keep talking, I do have some reasons that I've heard in the past of why people don't take photos. And we're going to kind of each give our rebuttal to that. But that's, I think, one of the biggest things is knowing what to expect when they come into a shop. For so many people, the automotive industry has had such like a negative kind of connotation to it, where people are like, oh, it's dreadful and annoying to think about bringing your car in somewhere to get it fixed. But if they know the shop, what the shop looks like, maybe they've seen their service advisor on your social media or on your ads or on your website somewhere, they're met with a somewhat familiar face and they know what to expect when they're coming in. Maybe they realize that they've recognized your shop because they've driven past you on the highway or something like that. So in the smaller, not smaller, but like seemingly smaller ways, especially when you think about the way people think, those photos make a huge, huge difference.
Yeah.
Loretta, from a design standpoint, when taking pictures, what, if we're going to suggest taking pictures in your shop, what would be some of your rules of thumbs for getting a good shot that's simple for everybody to understand?
Yeah. And, when we talk photography, there's, obviously professional photography. You can have someone come in and take those images for you. You can also do a good job with this yourself. So these, tips and rules apply whether you're getting a professional photographer or whether you're taking your best, DIY photographer, either you or someone in the shop that you have. But some of those tips would be, making sure that you have a good quality phone if you're going to take it on your phone, probably something a little newer with a better camera. And then, when you're capturing the images, starting with the experience, like Caroline said, what does someone see walking into your shop? What's the storefront look like? What's your, waiting area look like, your service desk, and then kind of take them through the shop as well. And you're going to go back and take some of those more technical pictures. What's that?
You had frozen for a minute, but you came back. We got like after they come into the shop, then getting to technical photos.
Gotcha.
That you're going to get things like that as well. But
so, some extra tips would be when you're taking those images. A lot of the times, if it's a phone, we're used to holding it, upright like this. A great tip is to do it sideways. You can kind of pull out and make sure you get a bigger display of the images. The great thing is we can crop and we can always, come in a little bit later on, but stay away from zooming in and just take some nice wide photos to make sure you have something big enough to use, whether it's on website, social. So that's a good tip to follow. Good lighting, take them during the day. If you have the shop doors open and you have some natural light coming in, that's always just a great thing to have, some natural light lighting up the shop and making it look a little more open. And again, this is supposed to be authentic. So we're not looking for the perfect cleaned up shop, it's meant to show who you are. And if the customer is going to see that walking in, and they're going to be able to kind of see back through the shop doors and see you guys working on cars, that's what we want to show on your imagery as well. So when thinking on the website side, we really just want to create a really clean and crisp visual that we can, make them familiar when they visit your site. And then when it bleeds over into social through Wendy, they're the same images that you're seeing, the same people on their social that you're seeing. And then when they walk in through that storefront, they're going to see those same faces, the same outfits, the same hats, the same colors, the same desk, and everything that they saw online. So definitely for consistency.
Chris also commented, which we'll always appreciate your insight, Chris, but portrait mode on iPhones works great for those who may not be as experienced as well. So like Loretta said, getting that like the full width of a normal image, not panoramic, just a normal like landscape horizontal photo. If you do have something you want to focus on, try out portrait mode because it'll blur everything else in the back just a little bit, where maybe you're trying to focus on something in the car or a person doing something, and that's the highlight. We do have a photo wish list I'm going to drop in the comments. And I know the photo wish list may change sometimes from website to social media needs. But Wendy, when you're talking to clients on a month-to-month basis, like what photos are you asking them for most regularly when it comes to social media in regards to service images, what that we may already have, but also like you're talking about community engagement, what's happening that you want to know about that we can encourage people to document?
Yeah, so we tend to request photos seasonally. So for instance, right now we're asking for anything and everything that's AC related because we're getting ready to come into summertime. So that would be like a service, getting ready for summer travels and summer vacations, the maintenance and the oil changes and tire care that you need for those trips. But also, I'm not a sports person, but we have baseball and t-ball and if you're sponsoring little t-ball games and teams, those are the community events that we love to share and that people love to see you at. Team retreats, we're getting ready to go on our retreat, so if you're taking the team out, things that y'all are doing together, I tell my clients like website is very specific to the service, whereas social media is everything. like we want your services, we want your amenities, we want your community events, your team culture. We want everything across the board to get them to really know, like, and trust you. So that's the stuff that we ask for.
Right. The person with the cake on their birthday when you brought cupcakes, just like whatever's happening in the shop. The thing is, when it comes to taking photos of those things, it's hard to remember, like, or
Yes.
always get into the mindset. And Wendy and I were just talking about this earlier. I'm even terrible about like, we will be at a conference and somebody's like, y'all should take a picture. And I'm like, that's a revolutionary idea. Like we should. I am the marketing person. I don't know why I didn't think about that. But it's very easy to just get into your routine and get into the swing of things and forget that something is photo worthy, but also on the same thing, like anything is photo worthy. So it's not about remembering like, oh, that looks picture perfect over there. But when it comes to what happens in the shop day in and day out, it's mundane to you as a shop owner or a technician or a service advisor because you're in the shop day after day after day. But to somebody that is not familiar with automotive, is not familiar with your shop, or maybe not familiar with your shop culture and the way that your team acts together, that's like new insight, behind the scenes access to them every single time. And that's really cool. A lot of our content for Shop Marketing Pros on social media that does the best is when it's something highlighting something within our team or someone within our team or some sort of joke, camaraderie, anything like that happened, to share those things. And so those day-to-day things in the shop are not mundane. We did have a question though, from Alicia. What are your thoughts on using photos on your website of past employees? I try to update this, but with being a high turnover field, sometimes it's not easy.
This is a great question. And it's something we kind of coach a lot whenever we are, met with the shop getting a website and we're talking about imagery. It really kind of depends on a few things. Obviously, if it's a past employee who, maybe left on good terms, or they switch careers, switch something, and there's someone who's still familiar and, welcoming to you. If they're in a background of an image, or, changing a set of breaks here and there, I wouldn't stress about that kind of stuff. We do suggest that typically you try and keep people's faces out a lot of your heavier facing imagery. So, hero image when you're visiting a homepage and you have that big image kind of greeting you. Trying to keep faces out. If you have a lot of turnaround, you want to make sure that, you're not basing a lot of your imagery on team photos or photos where you're heavily focused on the person's face. If we're talking about a service image, you're kind of taking images, pictures, again, when someone's changing the brakes, changing oil, maybe you're just getting like, from chin down, or you're getting a side angle, or them from the back. So it's still a real person. It's still representing your shop, and it's still showing those real people. I would say the most important areas where you want to make sure you do not misrepresent the people in your shop are going to be obviously your owners, or your service advisors. So those are the people that a lot of the times are going to be greeting when they walk through the doors, talking to them on the phones. That's where you kind of want to keep your most updated and make sure you're taking people on and off if they leave. If you have an about page, that you're updating that regularly. And, again, tips with that. A lot of the times we do an about page or a team page on our websites. We like to shoot individual images. So, sometimes people will be like, well, can we just do a team photo? Because everyone's a little more comfortable with that. And the issues you run into there is, one person leaves, you got to take the photo again, or, you look a year down the road and maybe 2 or 3 of those people aren't there anymore. So, in some cases, again, it's not a huge deal if you're just kind of showing them at an angle, showing them from the back. It kind of depends on, how the person left and what the reputation is there. But you can make sure that you do take smart photography and place your imagery smartly on the website, so you're not constantly updating or misrepresenting your shop or your people in it.
I would add too that on the social media side of things, where you are posting things that are going to be more like face oriented or people oriented, unless it's maybe somebody's birthday or something, maybe there's some sort of like, probation period is not the right term, but when you think of something along those lines where people aren't like actively being posted on your social media, unless it's in a normal group photo, but maybe not like a singular highlight about them until they've been with the company for a certain amount of time. And that can be like a 3-month thing. It does not have to be you've been here for a year or 5 years now or something, but just something to make sure that we're not doing a huge, big welcome post for a brand new employee that everybody's really excited about, that there was some underlying chaos that you didn't know about that ends up making things go awry, and that kind of case. But I think having some sort of barrier or like boundary around that can be helpful too. One of the reasons why we hear a lot of shop owners say that they're not taking pictures in the shop is because technicians don't want to be on camera, which is understandable. I think we always kind of sum up the industry as a whole to be more introverted than extroverted sometimes. So they don't love being on camera. They don't love being published places. And it's like Loretta was saying, but another reason for that, like, don't get their face in it, get their side profile, get the bottom of their face. But there are times where the focus is like, oh yeah, look what I'm doing. And I'm smiling and I'm showing you something. And there are times where the focus needs to be on the work happening, on the repair happening, or what the greater idea of that image is. And if it's somebody's side profile or their hand, like Loretta said, unless there was a burnt bridge or a bad situation, usually that's not an issue.
And I think that's a huge difference between stock imagery. If you look, if we were to look up stock imagery versus custom imagery, like when you look at stock, it is a lot of times going to be someone posing with like the tool and next to the car. And that's where more of that, yeah, exactly, the large wrench. That's where that authentic imagery, again, even though you're not maybe showing smiling faces and these picture perfect things, especially on social, but also on the website, it looks real, it looks authentic. You can tell that is the shop that they're going to walk into, and it doesn't have to be posed and picture perfect all the time for every image, especially when we're talking service images.
Chris also added another thing that's helped him is showing his mistakes and being open and honest about them. So if you're talking about, they're thinking about what sort of content you can find or create, it's learning from those comebacks, taking those and just explaining it, whether it's video or photo. But that's another option of the day in, day out kind of things happening in the shop that you can be posting about. That's all the comments right now. Did y'all have any other things I guess y'all wanted to touch on, or any other kind of video topics before I go into maybe some more of the reasons why people aren't taking pictures?
Yeah, I can mention like the techs who shops are super busy. So it's very hard. And like, even like you said, when we're at conferences, we don't remember to do them. Shops who do DVIs, the pictures are there. So you can always send over like use those kind of pictures, even if it's after the fact. And then nowadays, everybody has their phone in their hand. So even if it's not your person who's supposed to be taking the pictures at a team event, there probably are other people taking pictures, and those also can be shared and used across your social media and your marketing as well. That way it's not one person's sole job to do it.
Yeah. I will say though, if you are struggling with that and like nobody is taking accountability for it, give one person in the shop that responsibility. It is your job to take 5 photos a week, 1 a day, 5 a day, whatever it may be, in the shop of what's happening. And so with that, I've got a couple of reasons why I've asked in the past in this Facebook group why people were not taking pictures in their shops. And this is a game I could play in classes sometimes, but we're going to take that, and Alicia commented again before we get there. I've noticed with techs that don't want to be on camera, if I get the guys who are willing to be on camera, the reluctant ones start to warm up because they see us having fun. Yes. Like being on camera, at the end of the day, it turns into some sort of camaraderie. Like, especially you're not just walking in like a photographer being like, okay, smile, thanks. But usually you're talking about things and engaging with them, engaging with the technicians. I'll never forget one of the comments when I did ask this question a couple of months ago in this group was like, why aren't you taking pictures? Was that somebody said they were kind of shy and apprehensive about it. And so was their whole team. And they started doing it and just started talking to them while they were taking pictures and taking videos and asking what the technicians were doing. And there was one guy who was an older technician. He'd been with the shop for years and had been a technician his whole life. And they recorded a video of him talking about what he was doing, and it got posted on social media. He shared it, or somebody saw it and shared it, and his family ended up seeing it. And his wife and his kids were like calling him and texting me like, Dad, like, I didn't realize really what you did at work. Like, I knew you worked on cars, but I just saw you in your element. I just saw you doing what you're best at and what you enjoy doing. And that was so cool. And they were so appreciative of it. And that gave him the like energy to come back into work a couple days later and be like, put me on camera, boss. Like, I want to be on there. My team loved that. My family loved seeing that. And it like lets you get some, not credibility, but just like connection with your family or friends or anybody that they may be connected with on social media that's going to see them and be like, wait, that's really cool. I know my family is always, and I talk about this a lot in classes, but very active. I have a very big family, and anytime we post something about me on social media, somebody the next time I see them at a family event is like, oh, well, I saw you did that thing, or I saw you were traveling here. You taught a class, or you did this, and they're always invested and interested and excited to talk about it. So without further ado, here are some of the reasons, and I want to hear Loretta and Wendy what y'all would say to somebody telling you that this is why they're not taking photos or videos in their shop. You can be as blunt as you want. I'll add things too because I do this. But number one is the shop isn't clean enough.
That's a great one. I am going to relate here because I am a parent with 2 kids. And when I want to take a picture of my kids and I look at the background of our house and I'm like, oh my gosh, I do not want to get all that mess in there and share it on social. Guess what? No one's looking at that stuff. Unless there's extensive circumstances where your shop truly is, maybe a hazard to someone's health. I would say maybe audit yourself a little bit, but it's authentic. Like, we do not need to see the perfect cleaned up shop. To be honest, people want to see the work that's being done. They want to see those real images. It gives them a bit of an insight into the hard work that you're putting into their vehicles. If they see the equipment in the background, they see the tools, the dirty hands, and there's a time and place for this stuff. Maybe one it would be a little more cleaned up on website, and maybe the social is a little bit more authentic, but do not stay away from taking pictures because you think you need to clean up your shop perfectly, because it will probably never happen. So just shoot it.
Yeah, agreed. Agreed on all of that. Authentic.
I'll add, if anybody has a reason why you're not taking photos in your shop or something you forgot about, drop it in the comments, and we will give you some feedback or insight.
Mm-hmm.
Not really fully a rebuttal, but just maybe how you can overcome your reason for not taking photos.
Chris brought up the portrait mode, and it will take that, portrait mode does a lot to kind of blur out the background, and there's cropping, there's a lot of things that can be done. Maybe you see it in the big picture, and when you crop it down, you're not really paying attention to that stuff.
Agreed. It's also, if you just need a photo of one thing and you can't let it stop you from everything. The whole shop might be a mess, but the one area there's some area where, I think this applies more for video, but there's somewhere that you can take a video and you can just get on camera and talk about something.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe taking an active photo of what's happening in the shop might not work if it's really messy, but find what angle it works at. Stand on top of a ladder and get it from above where you don't see any of the other mess around you on the floor, but kind of clean it up a little bit and get it done. Find a way to do it. The other one with that is we're renovating. So why not document the renovation and take people along with the process, or have a disclaimer, be like, disclaimer, it might look a little messy in here, but we're renovating. Why are you renovating? So you can have a bigger and better shop to take care of your community. They want to know that.
Some of my highest engaging Facebook posts have been before and after pictures. Mm-hmm. People absolutely love seeing that. They love seeing the before and after. So that's not a reason to not take pictures at all.
We've also got, we're too busy.
We're all too busy.
We're all too busy.
Same.
You're never going to be less busy. To that, I would say hire someone. Truly, if you feel like you are too busy and that's what you need to hold yourself accountable, hire someone. And it doesn't have to be, to start, it doesn't have to be the most expensive photographer. Ask around, ask for someone who's maybe starting a photography business or is working on their photography skills. I would say that's the first way to hold yourself accountable. And then you can maybe ease yourself into, seeing what they do and how they take photos and some ideas, but you're probably never going to be less busy if that's what you keep telling yourself.
I would add to that, if hiring somebody isn't fully in the realm of possibilities for you, delegate it, like we mentioned earlier, to someone in your shop. Have it be their responsibility. Or if you have a local high school or college, university or anything, talk to them and see if there's anybody that wants to do some sort of internship, or if they have a program within the school that does any sort of internship for photography, marketing, anything like that, and have a student come in, usually for low or no or very low cost, to take those photos. They can probably help you do some video too and help you on the social media front. But everybody has the same amount of time. If it is you and you're the one that's going to be responsible for it, no matter what, schedule it and stick to your word. Keep your integrity with yourself to get it done. If you have to move it to a different time, move it to a different time. But I think the three of us work very closely from to-do lists. And if something doesn't get done, you have to put it on tomorrow's to-do list, because it just gets lost if it doesn't get added, if it's not being moved along in the process of your week. Everybody is got the same amount of time. But also, I'm glad you're too busy to take photos, though. Like, that's not a bad issue to have. But in that case, you've got DVIs probably. You have something. So use what you have and use your resources. Next up is I don't know what to do. I don't know what to take pictures of.
Well, we have a photography list.
I am going to drop that in the comments right now. We've got our photography wish list. We also have some blogs on the Shop Marketing Pros website about where to find and how to create social media content specifically, but it all ties in kind of to what I said earlier, like using what's happening in the shop and just paying attention to it for content purposes. So let me drop this wish list in there. And this has a literal shot list that you can give to a photographer or to somebody in your shop to take photos.
If you call somebody over in your shop and you're like, hey, come see this, that's social media worthy.
Yeah, grab that picture. We have I don't have time, which is kind of the same as we're too busy. I feel like I'm annoying my team and or my technicians don't want to be on camera.
I always love the videos I see where it's like a company and they're like, the annoying millennial following me around with a video. Yeah.
Wait for the team retreat this weekend. I have a list of things. Everybody's going to hate me. It's going to be me.
I think this kind of goes back to the comfort part, right? If you show up one day and you tell your team and you're in their face and you're taking photos, videos, and it's something you've never done before, it's going to be uncomfortable. They're not going to feel like they want to be on video or camera. I think this goes back to us saying again, set a 10-minute slot, a 10-minute reminder just to walk into your shop and say, hey guys, keep doing what you're good doing. I'm just going to shoot a few images of you while you're working and just work them into it, get them used to it. I wouldn't go in and start on day one if they've never been on camera and say, hey, we're going to all shoot video today. We're going to do a complete bio and tell me what you're doing on this car and don't mess up. Really work them into getting used to you just being around or someone being around and taking those images and working up to what I think, again, will be comfortable at some point once you've practiced it a little bit.
I would also say, if needed, I would say probably more of a last ditch effort, but if needed, incentivize them. That's always an option, that if they're willing, especially if there's somebody that's consistently willing to do things like that and help you out and it's not within their scope of work and there are people who specifically are just uninterested, incentivization helps a lot. But get them comfortable, like Loretta was saying, take it easy. That's where it gives you the opportunity to start. I don't need a picture of your face. I don't need a picture of you smiling. It doesn't matter how you look today. We just want to show the work. We want to show what's happening. And whether it's a photo or a video, talk them through it. That was the example that we had gotten of the woman where the guy in the shop was super excited because his family saw what he was doing. All she did was walk in and start talking to the technicians and say hey, I'm a service advisor. I work at the front of the shop. Walk me through what you're really doing here. Tell me, how would you explain this to a customer? And just started talking to them, whether that was on video or just conversation, so that they were comfortable with somebody coming up to them and kind of being in their space while they're working and be like, awesome, can I take a picture of it? Just of your hands while you're working or while they're telling you about things, just snap a couple pictures and keep it very organic. Just like anybody that has done a professional kind of photo shoot, maybe not professional model, but with your family or anything like that, friends, wedding, headshots, work, whatever it may be, that photographer tries to make you feel as comfortable as possible. They're like, oh, just talk to your person, just talk like you're normally talking, somebody tell a joke, and they try and get the photos of what's candid and what's actually happening by making you feel comfortable and not like you have a spotlight on you. Next one is I don't like how I look, or somebody doesn't like how they look. If it's a technician or somebody else in the shop, it's just.
I feel like, and this maybe even goes back to the last one, obviously respect your team. And if there is a picture or they really don't like their face to be shown, maybe they're not your go-to person to do, photography, videography, as Caroline said. Maybe there's some people who are a little more outgoing, a little more natural at it. And you can say, hey, I understand we really just need one image for you of our team page. Let's take the image and pick one out that you like. And then, they don't have to be in every image. They don't have to be the face of the shop. But I think this all comes back to, leading with example too. You as a shop owner, getting in front of the camera, if that's not something that is your forte, trying to work through that yourself and getting your one image up there where you're showing your face and maybe a video that you work through that you can, set the example for your team that, I think as time goes on, you'll get better and more comfortable with it, but just work within everyone's comfort, where they're comfortable, and really making sure that you are going to draw a line. If someone truly is uncomfortable, you don't want to push your team to feel, totally
Stressed out about that.
stressed out over photography. There's going to be people there who are a little more natural and a little more comfortable with it.
Agreed.
Alicia commented, what about nothing interesting going on? I see some big automotive social media pages always having highly interesting repairs going on, and our guys just say it's an average day.
Oh, well, it's not an average day to us.
Or to your followers.
Yeah.
To your followers. Yeah. To your followers, it's not an average day. We don't know what it looks like to get underneath a car to change. Your followers don't know what it looks like. I say we because doing this job
as a not shop worker.
I want to know what's happening with my car. I want to see what you see underneath there. And your followers want to see that. They want to see the rat nest that you pulled out of the cabin filter and things like that. So while it's normal to you guys, it's not normal to your followers. And
I'd say very similar to what we were saying a little earlier is like what happens in the shop is not mundane to anybody except who's in the shop every day. The same, if you think about people on like social media that do a day in the life, or they let you follow them for their day, it's not that it's that interesting, and it's not that they're doing anything very different than what maybe every other person posting a day in my life is doing, but it just gives you some like inside scoop on somebody other than yourself, and people find other things than what they're doing interesting. So to that person, it could have been the most mundane, boring, nothing interesting, average day ever to them, but they just documented it and shared it, and people are like, oh, well, they were funny while they talked, or they told a good joke, or the visual was nice and it was entertaining enough, it was engaging enough. I would say too, Alicia, there could be times like where people are saving those photos. Like it's sometimes hard to always post in the moment that something is happening right now and let it go take a picture, make a post out of it. I would also say on the social media front, schedule your content so that you don't have to worry about finding something to capture and make a post of every single day or every couple of days. But when you do see something neat, just capture it. If you don't need to post about it that day, it does not have to be posted about that day. Nobody except the people working in the shop are going to probably know that like that is the day or that is not the day that actually happened. And you don't have to say this just happened today. Just frame it to where that content is evergreen. But if any of the three of us were to take you through our days, to us, it would all be very mundane. It would be, this is the same meeting I attend every morning. This is the same couple of things I do after or before my meeting. This is my to-do list that is kind of recurring every couple of weeks. But y'all, if we went into detail and kind of talked you through everything and documented it and shared it with you, you would be like, oh, wait, that's really cool. I've never known that. I've never thought about that. Like, I would have never thought that that's what the back end of the Google MCC ad dashboard like fully looks like, and that you can do all of those things. But if somebody were to show you, you would maybe not think it's interesting. It's a lot. But if they can break it down into like bite-sized terms where you can understand it, that's all you're doing with the shop, is just showing them what's going on. It's not about whether or not it's interesting to the technician.
Yeah.
It's about your audience, and your technicians are going to find things completely different, interesting level wise than your audience will, unless you're like a custom car shopping, you outfit things, and like your ideal audience and your technician are very similar people, but most of the time they may not be.
I think just to add to that quickly too, what was the question? There's nothing interesting going on, or it's a boring day. Use that as part of the content. I think one of the best ways, we as creatives and marketers, we scroll content, we look at examples, and you'll see times out there, where they do a quick video of, the shop's slow today, and someone's like, falling asleep on their chair trying to like change brakes, because it is mundane. You can make those little moments into funny, quick content that I think people in any profession relate to. It doesn't have to be so, niche to automotive. I think just using that and making a funny quip out of it can also be something that you can do. So always just kind of be looking around and gather your inspiration from anywhere on the internet, what's trending, what's going on, videos that other people are making, and gear them towards your shop too.
Yeah.
Yes. I was going to say the same. Like, as social media managers, we research social media trends.
Mhm.
So to bring in inspiration. So you don't have to create original content. I think we have a podcast or a blog on there's no original content out there anymore. Like,
Right.
there's trending stuff that you can get inspiration from.
Yeah, I would say see what's working for your shop and see what your technicians are comfortable with. But when it comes to looking at other bigger automotive companies that are doing really cool things, take the inspiration from that, like Loretta and Wendy are saying, instead of taking the comparison from it and being like, well, my shop isn't that cool. My shop isn't that interesting. Twist it. And I don't mean twist it in a like illegitimate way, but reframe the way that you're thinking about that. Reframe how you can deliver that content to your audience in a way that helps it build that know, like, trust factor, instead of relying on the technician who is not going to think something super cool unless it's like really, really, really cool. It's like when you watch the medical shows and people get really excited about specific surgeries, and we're not medical people here. So I'm like, count me out. I don't want to know anything about that. Like, the show's interesting enough, but they get so excited about everything, and they always get kind of brought back down to earth. Like, okay, well, this patient still just needed this basic care, and all you were worried about was the super cool stuff. So that got overlooked. So don't overlook the mundane things. We have one more, and then I think we'll wrap up unless y'all have any other comments or questions. But the last rebuttal or last reason for not having photos or videos of your shop, especially on your website, I think is where this comes in, but also on social media, is I don't want my text getting poached.
Yes. Yeah, there's two, I want to step back and say we're talking about two different kinds of photos. Wendy can say for the social side, those are your more like live updates, things happening in the moment. That's going to be updated very often, very frequent. When we're talking website, that's more evergreen. You're not typically updating your website photography, maybe yearly, if anything, or if you need to switch someone out. But we often have this conversation when it comes to website, especially with a team page. Something we've suggested, and we understand this, is don't put their full name on there, or maybe use their shop nickname, or maybe just give them a title. We have some shops who just stick to posting the profile images of their service advisors, because again, that is the person that someone is going to talk to, that they're going to see. That's kind of the face of what their first impression is, to keep those technicians, which we hear about the poaching and all of that. And I think this kind of dives maybe back into a different conversation of, you want your team to be comfortable at your shop, and your shop environment is really going to reflect whether someone stays there or not. I don't think it's going to be because their face is on, a picture somewhere on the website and someone's going to poach them because they're this great technician. You've built your shop culture, your team. And I think building a strong team is going to be the base of being able to share that imagery and share those people, and having to worry a little bit less on that side. So there's a few different ways you can go with that one, but yeah, Wendy, Caroline, I'm interested to hear your take.
I was thinking the same line that you were like, if your shop culture and your team camaraderie and core values, that's what keeps your techs at your shop, not posting them on your website.
I'll pull a Kim Walker. So I'm sure most of the people watching probably know her and love her. And I have heard her probably just about verbatim when somebody has asked this to her, say, don't make them want to leave. Like, treat them better so they don't want to leave.
Yeah.
Take care of your team. And she uses our team as an example as well. The three of us are people who you see our face on our social media a lot. People know who we are. They probably have our work email somehow. Like, if they wanted to get in touch with us, they could. But like Loretta said, people are not going to be poached because they're listed on your page or posted on your page. And they're not going to get poached if, like, they're only going to get poached. You can't stop the poachers, but you can stop somebody from leaving. So it's not about somebody else knowing who works for you and keeping them so secretive or anything. It's about making the people that do work for you not care at all about the people on LinkedIn. Well, LinkedIn for us in marketing probably, but on whatever platform or wherever it is where people are going to be talking about jobs, it's on you to make sure that they're not out there like, I'm interested in this, I'm invested in this. And then you're like, oh, shoot, well, they're on my website, you know? So.
Agreed.
Well, that is all we have today, you guys. Thank y'all for joining us. I think we've had a good steady, like 5 to 8 of y'all in here most of the time. I dropped the photo wish list in the comments and also 2 blogs about finding and creating social media content in your shop for those of you who maybe you have good photography, but you're struggling on the day-to-day, more regular photography to get, or the photo wish list is going to be more for working with your marketing, you're updating your website, or you need a good refresh of all those general images for social media. So touched on those 2 sides, really shop focused images, and then more shop culture, camaraderie, know, like, trust sort of images. If y'all have any other questions, this post will stay live in this group, I think, for about a month, and we'll be able to harvest the video after, and we can share that link with anybody if needed. But if you have any other questions, drop them in the comments because we'll be notified still and can come back and answer them later. And thank you both, Wendy and Loretta, for joining me today. I've enjoyed having y'all.
Yes, thank you.
It's been good conversation.
All right. Okay, we're ended in Facebook. And so let me end it here, and it might kick us all out really quickly. So if it does, thank you guys.
Thank you.
Talk to you later. Bye.